is episode 90 of This Week in Grip, and I'm joined by Alan Heineck, as always. James is still traveling out of the country, I do believe. He is in Australia, making reviews of the coffee-making process there, I believe, the last I saw on Facebook. Alan,
I for that.
You saw that one too?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Yes. So, Alan, what have what have you been up to, buddy? Give us an update.
Not a whole lot. Just doing some consistent training. That's about it. Shoulder's getting a little better. Finally able to do some strengthening and stuff. So that's made a huge difference in being able to do that. You can only sit around and let it atrophy for so long. So
right.
But yeah, making some progress. Weather's here is kind of cold yet, so I'm looking forward to some warmer days coming. But how's everything on your end?
Good. What folks may not realize is that it's actually been close to 3 weeks since we recorded a show. We did one when I was on the way back from the state wrestling tournament and Hershey World and stuff like that one Sunday. And then things haven't worked out in our favor to get another show going. So it's been close to 3 weeks since we did a show. We did happen to do two that last day that we did shows, so that's why we were able to fill some of that time. But things have been going pretty well here, man. I'm really, really excited that Evan Norton, one of the members of my gym, has successfully qualified now for nationals in the 120 kilo plus class, and also working on getting Brandon Connor and Dylan Merritt qualified. Also, Ryan Bennett has 1 out of the 3 qualifications. He doesn't train. He trains on the gym on weekends mostly. He's more of an arm wrestler. But unfortunately, he just had an unfortunate match and broke his arm yesterday.
Oh, damn.
His right arm. Yeah, so I had seen that he put up an update that he was the champion of the left-hand category for his weight class, and then the next thing I know, he's in a hospital wheelchair with a broken arm. So yeah, hate to see that, man. That's terrible.
That sucks. You know, the one thing is, depending on if it's the typical one that arm wrestlers seem to run into, depending on the severity, it's not always a long road to recovery there. Sometimes it can be bad, but other times it's actually relatively short. It's surprisingly short for some people. So hopefully he falls into that category.
Yeah,
man, you see that happen. It's horrific. I can't even. I've had some messed up crap happen to me, and that looks ugly when that shit happens to other people.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Sure.
Well, good luck to him. Hopefully he comes back and everything's back how he wants it. So
yeah. As far as my training, I'll go ahead and toot my horn.
You've been killing it.
Yeah, I was able to lift the homicide bell, which weighs 187 pounds, and it's got a handle that's just shy of 2.6 inches. And, I mean, I've been not training consistently on it for 3 years. I've had it for 3 years, and I'll do like 2 weeks of consistent work on it here and there, and then, take a random pull whenever I'm feeling good. And the week before last, I was able to get it off the ground about 8 inches left-handed and like 2 inches right-handed. And then out of nowhere on Tuesday this past week, I lifted it, hollered something, and then tried to walk to go set the camera up because I hadn't put the camera on yet onto the tripod, and I like halfway passed out and fell to the floor after the lift. So really regretting not having the camera rolling because of the brownout. So, but it was exciting. Ended up getting it later on left-handed pretty well. I'd rather be a little bit straight up, but the dumbbell itself is so long, Alan, because the globes are not globes, but like the cylinder heads are only maybe 6 inches thick, and in order to get the weight, we had to make it really long. To get the weight,
they got to be longer. Yep,
that's
for
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
but you weren't doing some crazy tilt with the shit like balanced against the side of your hand or anything like that.
Right.
So yeah, when you're limited by some anatomical thing, to me all is forgiven. It's when you get that deliberate tilt cockage action going on, that's just not even legit.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, frankly, I can lift it easily if I put my hand against the back head of the
it's a different lift.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like a medley lift. But to lift it clean in the center, a lot of times even when you're gripping it in the center, it starts to tilt and it smacks your hand. So then I'm like, shit, and I just set it down. So, but, yeah. And then a little work on Blobfather. Got Blobfather plus inch dumbbell both ways this week. So both of those were on the same day, same workout day. So
that's awesome. Being able to kind of stay at that top end like that for so long, that's incredible. So we're a little past due for a what's working for Jedd post on TGA, you know.
Yeah.
You got to give us some. Got to let that breeze carry our way.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good idea. It's probably been like at least 2 years since I put one of those up. So yeah, maybe I'll put that on the list for this week. I'll tell you what's not going well is my sinuses. I did not lift Thursday or Saturday as planned because I got this crazy cold. So hoping that it clears out and I can hit it again on Tuesday and I'll be like almost like deloaded.
Yeah.
Almost deloaded from from lack of activity. So.
Well, you follow Clint Darden, don't you?
What's that?
You follow Clint Darden, don't you?
Not a ton. I used to, but
okay.
I haven't followed him too closely lately. Why? What's up?
Well, no, he's got a ton of different crap that he's always playing with. I don't know how his sponsorships are or anything like that, but he uses some nose torques with like these different things added to them, and he talks about like I don't know if they're fragrant or what they are, but some of the way he describes them, it's like it clears your sinuses, but it almost has like a medicinal effect. Like there's some mentholatum in it or some crap like that, or lavender. I don't know what it is. It's hilarious hearing him talk about it. And if I need it, you know how nose torque is, right? You buy like 2 packs of it, but that's like a lifetime supply.
Yeah.
You know, if you get it in the bottle. So I really don't need to go out and buy any more, but I was tempted to try to pick up some of that crap because, well, you know, it's like huffing horseradish, you know. I mean, if your nose is plugged, that's a good way to clear you out quick, you know, or some wasabi or something like that. So I just floating that one out there, you know. I don't know if there's anything to it, but
I had not seen
get you out of a jam.
Check that out, yeah.
It's from a while ago, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. He's always got all that weird, funky crap. He's willing to try everything, you know, so I'm on board with that. Yeah, whatever gives you an edge. Well,
sure. Yeah, I used to be a lot closer with him, just no real reason, just haven't interacted too much in the last few years. Have to look in and see what he's doing. Where do you follow him at?
See him mostly on his YouTube videos. I haven't seen, you know, a lot lately, but you know, being that we're all middle-aged men, I more or less follow those sort of types nowadays. Whereas, I mean, geez, I can only watch Larry Wheels bench press 700 pounds so much. You know, it's like it makes more sense for me to follow people that are like dealing with the crap I deal with. You know, so that's kind of where I had that.
Sure, man. So we got an interesting topic today. We're gonna talk about some of the rolling handles that are out on the market and give our honest feedback on each one and let everybody know what our favorites are. But before that, wanted to go back to episode 89, Chalkaholics Anonymous, and just go over some of the comments. So I thought I would go ahead and read this first one, Alan, and then you can give any response that you might have. It comes from Ari Talonen, and he says, "Great episode. I am confused again. I read from somewhere that you can put chalk on your own turn on competition, but on Ironmind page there is not such words. APL Russia will be interesting." So I believe what he may be referring to, Alan, is on the grip board. Did you see that where Luke asked Randall Strawson about some clarification regarding chalking?
Yes, and he came in and he clarified. That is correct. Yep.
And then how was it worded? Do you recall?
I thought the gist of it more or less was that, you know, though the implement needed to be wiped clean between attempts, during your 1 minute, you know, of attempt opportunities, you were free to spend that minute, you know, applying chalk if you wanted, and you know, you could do whatever you wanted in that 1 minute time. It was more or less how I took it. So,
okay.
And which I understand Hari's confusion, because how things were worded on the website, what we were hearing, and then even Iron Mind's response to my email, it was like kind of heard a few different things there. So,
right.
Your response to him. Oh,
sorry. Go ahead, Alan.
Well, I thought your response to him was something like, yeah, here it is. It says, "I'm just telling people to read the rules and go by what they would say."
Yeah,
I would go one step further, and I would even say, blast Iron Mind an email and get it from them in real time before whatever you're about to do, because some of these things do seem to change at a moment's notice. So I would get some of that clarification right before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but,
I definitely think it would be a good idea, and hopefully they're able to kind of iron out all the different, like their standard response via email and their rules and things like that. They all end up on the same page there, because that can be quite confusing. So Ari also says, "Thanks. I am not interested in lifting 25-kilogram hub with guys who suck at it. Last summer, I lifted thousands and thousands of kilos to get hub strength up. I think in future grip sport, Finland use only implements where it's a height bar and simple rules, just like King Kong events and your Napalm's Nightmare." So, that's about where I'm at too on a lot of this stuff, is not judging lockout, just going to the crossbars. So, I can see where. Hari's one of the best grip guys in the world. That's how he feels. So, I think that's probably something that's a lot of people share that opinion. Not everybody, of course, but I think a lot of people do.
If you pull 100 pounds on hub, I think you get to say something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's earned
sure.
He's earned
it.
Yeah.
I want to thank Randy Gentry. He is constantly posting on all videos that I upload. He always has something cool to say. Here he says, "Just post of support," and I say thanks. And
he's funny.
Working his way down to 215 pounds body weight. So that's his main objective right now. We got a question from Vegan Bodybuilding. He says, "Where is that YouTube/website Better Stuff with grip results that was mentioned?" And I'm not sure what he's talking about exactly. We might have touched on something in that episode 89, Alan, but I don't remember what that could possibly be for what this person's question is.
I don't either. I don't remember anything like that coming up. The only thing I could maybe attribute that to, if there wasn't a moment where, something cut out and it might have come through kind of blurry, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah. Otherwise, like for me, I guess when we're talking about grippers, the main places I would ever be discussing, if it was grippers in particular, for example, would be like Iron Mind, Canon Powerworks, things like that. Especially if we're talking about like ratings. Canon Powerworks be the first one that comes to mind. So. Yeah, anything else? But I'm not sure what the rest of that comes from, though.
Right. Interesting post here from TJ Don't Play, which is Tommy Jennings. Hey, I just wanted to add another angle on the CC's cert thing you guys brought up. So basically, he's got a very lengthy post here, and I encourage everybody to read it. He makes a really, really good point here. What we had said was we suggested an asterisk for the people who certified before the rule change. And what Tommy says is basically we're assuming that everybody that certified prior to the rule change used a very narrow set, when in reality that's probably not the case. He says that the Gillinghams come to mind. So I'm assuming that means the Gillinghams didn't use much of a set when they certified on the number 3. I don't know what set they used. The other side of the coin, he says, further, there are even guys on the current list that actually certed with literally no set. So Sean Dockery and Aaron Farley for sure used no sets and literally passed the set card through a wide open at rest gripper before they closed it with a no set, and that's definitely true with regards to Sean Dockery. I remember that video. I don't know who Aaron Farley is. You know who that is, Alan?
No, I don't. I don't know who that is.
So some good points there from Tommy on that. I don't know. Maybe the next step would be to say, actually list what set the people used. But I do think that, like, the wide sets were few and far between, especially around, like, 2003, when there were, like, 100 people that certified that year. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe a lot of people back in the day didn't barely even set the gripper. I'm not sure. So that's a good question.
I thought that was a really good point. I know there was some people, I thought it was even mentioned on the grip board at one time, but there were some people that they couldn't set a gripper to save their ass, and they actually wound up doing just a lot of no-set work, and these guys were shutting some serious grippers. It was like they couldn't set a number 2, but they could no set a 3, or something like that. It was just the opposite of what we would ordinarily deal with. So,
yeah.
But it was a neat point. I never even thought of that, and that's probably exactly the case.
Yeah.
Not everybody hammered it down, and some people probably just did it straight up. They didn't even know any different.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Well.
The last one here comes from Raging Train, which is Matt Brown, and he says, fun episode. Like you said, the chalk issue only matters if you want an Iron Mine world record. GSI still recognizes all the chalk lists, which is true. What I haven't heard is what Arm Lifting USA will do with their records on the IM stuff. Aren't all their records with chalked implements, or at least not wiping them every attempt? And I say, good question, bro. Not sure regarding what Arm Lifting is going to do. I do believe that all the current records are with chalked implements. That makes sense. Because a lot of the records were set prior to the rule modification. And then he says, either way, I appreciate that you own it if you misspoke, and you also keep us informed. Keep up the good work, my friend. And appreciate that, Matt. So what he's talking about there is I basically said multiple times that Iron Mine said you can't chalk the implements, and then I was corrected, and I put out a special video highlighting that I was corrected. So, I don't want to confuse anyone or make the situation even more murky. So, hopefully that clears everything up. Anything else on that, Alan, or can we kind of put a bow on that?
No, I think that's pretty well wrapped up. Randy covered it pretty good on the grip board if anybody wanted to see any of the rest of that stuff. So I think he put it to bed. So.
Yeah, and I just want to say that over the last few weeks, Tommy Jennings and I have had some pretty heated discussions, arguments, name-calling, things like that. It was something that really got out of hand, and I just want to say that he and I got on the phone on Friday morning and ironed all that stuff out, and as far as I'm concerned, that stuff is all, down the river, under the bridge. So no problem there. So if anyone sees anything that he and I might have said to one another again, I just want to say the air is cleared. We've talked about it, and we're just moving forward, both forgiven in both directions. So I think that's the best way to go about it. Okay, Alan, let's just remind everybody to go ahead and like the video, hit the thumbs up button. That helps us out, and people have been doing a great job with that. I really do appreciate it. We're generally well above the 10% likes to views, so thank you very much for continuing to do that. And as we go into this next section of the show, we're doing this because we also invite you to weigh in with your thoughts on the equipment reviews that we're going to do today. So please feel free to leave a comment with what you think about some of the pieces of equipment that we cover. Again, we're going to go over rolling handles, give us some thoughts on our opinions about the equipment, what works best, what takes chalk well, a bunch of different variables. But go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section regarding what you think as well. You're always invited to do that, and we look forward to hearing what you think about the rolling handles. So, Alan, maybe we can start by just giving a complete list of all the rolling handles that are on the market, or at least the rolling handles that we can remember.
Sure.
Or that we can think of. Do you want to start with that, dude?
Yeah. Well, so of the main ones we deal with in grip sport, really, we have the Crusher from Fat Bastard Barbell Company. That seems to be, I don't know if it's necessarily the most popular, but it's certainly the most widely used at the contests that we see. We have the trilobite handles from Barrel Strength Systems. There's also the Rolling Thunder from Iron Mine. Napalm's Nightmare, of course, of the varying sizes with 2 3/8, 2-inch. I think there might even be some smaller ones, but the 2 3/8 and 2-inch are the most common. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say those are the most common. There's like 1 1/4, and then also up close to in the 3 and 4-inch range as well.
Oh, okay.
They're not very commonly used, but they are used in some cases. And then we also have pinch block adapters that can go onto the handles now instead of like a Saxon bar type of implement. And then we also have the one-hand Nightmare where the grips can be taken off the Napalm's Nightmare and put on a one-hand device.
Sure. We have the wrist wrench. I don't know if we're going to call that a rolling handle. I
threw it on my list, Alan. I threw it on my list. So why don't we go ahead and we'll include that in there. It's quite frequently used for inch dumbbell training, so we'll go ahead and throw that in there.
Sure. All right, we've got that. Other ones that we really don't see contested, but they would fall, I guess, into at least the rolling handle concept. Some of the Country Crush handles that are out there from Raymond Cody. Number of different sizes. Those are what one am I missing here? I think that pretty well covers what I have.
Don't forget with the Country Crush, you can go with the Raptor. There's also the Raptor that he has.
Yes, I do have a Raptor handle. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. The only other one that I can remember that you didn't mention is the Silarukov, like 50 and 60 millimeter handles. I think they have.
Sure, I know there's an LGC handle out there too. There might be some of those other ones. We really don't see a lot of those over here. I've never seen one of those stateside.
I've never seen an LGC handle that I recall. Yeah. No.
They're supposed to be the rolliest thing on the market, from my understanding, but I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'm told. Anyway.
Huh. Okay. I did use a Silarukov rolling handle when I was in Dubai the second time when I trained with Lane, because he brought one. And but that is the only time. So I'm actually talking to, oh man, what's his name? It's some like Fist of Fury or something like that on the grip board, who's selling like all his grip equipment.
Oh yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and he's selling a 60 millimeter Silarukov rolling handle. So looking at possibly getting that from him to add to the collection.
Well, I'll be interested to hear about that.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? Yeah.
And then I guess we're not going to worry about like the various arm wrestling handles that Luke makes at Arm Assassin, right? They don't really get used for loading pin work, like for grip. So I'm talking about like the top. I think there's like a top roll eliminator or something like that. And there's a couple different things that use like tubing and things like that, like plastic tubing. So we'll just skip all those.
Sure.
And I can't really think of anything else as far as rolling handles right now.
Those are the main ones that jump out at me. I guess if anybody, thinks of anything else, they can sure let us know. But that's really all I've got. Yeah. If we've missed any, leave a comment below and correct us, because I know my memory is not good at all. Well,
so there could have been something that someone came out with years ago, and it was like a short run, and they only came out with a few. Like, some companies have come up and then gone away pretty quickly. So it's very possible that we might miss those. But I think we got a pretty good range covered, especially the most common ones, Alan. So we didn't really talk about how we were going to tackle this, Alan. I'll just throw a question out there. Out of the ones on this list that you've tried, what would be the top 3 as far as like the sickest, fastest action, like totally blow you away, rip out of your hand action on these thick-handled dumbbells or thick-handled rolling handles?
Yeah, I would actually, I would say I'd actually have to probably give the biggest nod to the Country Crush, followed right by the I would actually go with the Crusher and then the Trilobite right after that. And when I'm talking about the Trilobite handle, I know there's recently been a design change, and I don't know what kind of action effect that's had on the handle. So I have the ones that are of the solid aluminum construction. They don't have what appears to be like the Teflon insert or whatever that material is that's in them now. So I have the original generation of those. That's
right. That's what I have also. I saw videos put up from Gil of what looks to be like, it's almost like perpetual spinning after that thing is kicked into action. So that looks like it's moving pretty good. But I agree with you. I think the most vicious action would be on the Country Crush handles, especially the Raptor, the one-hand handle that they sell. I believe that's the one that I'm thinking of. When Ray Cody sent that to me, I hooked that up onto like 100 pounds or something like that, and that thing ripped out of my hand so quick when I was lifting it. It went from a totally secure grip to ripping right out of my hand in just a fraction of a second. I couldn't even believe it. It was by far it was almost scary how quickly it ripped out of my hand.
I have a funny story about that. I'll let you finish, and then I'll throw my terrible story into it.
Yeah, that's about it. I've used Crushers, Rolling Thunders, Trilobites, One-Hand Nightmares, Wrist Wrench, Silarukov. Nothing was even close compared to that Raptor handle.
Yeah. So since, I've had some shoulder work done recently, and that's kind of limited some of the things I've been able to do, I've been doing some one-arm pull-downs, and to work some grip at the same time, I was using the Raptor handle. And I was doing some pull-downs, and I got to the point where I was definitely feeling like my grip was starting to fatigue. And rather than do the responsible thing like stop or take weight off, I continued to go for it. And as luck would have it, right when I got towards the bottom range of the lift, when the handle's right alongside of my head, that thing slipped out, and it was like getting hit in the side of the head with a hammer. The metal part of that caught me right on my eyebrow. And now get this, and this is the funny thing, obviously that's a really sensitive part of your face, right? So this thing hit me, hurt like hell, kind of left a little bruise. I didn't think anything of it. Well, then apparently there was like a little bit of bleeding going on under my skin. It probably started right away. But anyway, it kind of pooled down. I had this black eye for like a week.
Really?
It looked like somebody just jacked me right in the face. Yeah, wow. And nobody believes it. You tell somebody a story like that, oh, yeah, I was doing one-arm pull-downs, the handle slipped out of my hand and hit me in the head. Nobody even knows what you're talking about. They just know they see a guy with a black eye, they think he got his ass kicked, So anyway, to go along with the slippery action of all the handles I've ever done, and even doing one-arm pull-downs with them, that's the only one that's ever popped out and caused some bodily harm along with it. So it is an extremely slick action, and it's on both fronts.
Only one that's giving you a black eye, Alan?
Yes. The composite material that he uses is extremely slick in itself, but then the handle action on top of that. So it's like slippery on the outside and inside, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, very, very strong. It's a good handle. I really like it, but I definitely don't use it in that fashion anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. Cool. What would you say? Well, I don't know. I asked you a question. Why don't you ask a question or start a discussion topic on it, Alan? Your turn, buddy.
All right. So, have you made any head-to-head comparisons of some of the other handles? We were told initially on some, for example, that some actions were actually much faster than others. Had you done that? Like there was a head-to-head comparison made, for example, from the Trilobite to the Crusher at one point. Mm-hmm. I had personally done some testing. I didn't know what if you had done to say, hey, I can. There was almost like a like for like theory that went with it.
Right.
Or you could lift 10% more on this versus this. And
right.
And I actually tested to see something. What had you done, or had you noticed anything?
I haven't really done a direct comparison. Like I haven't thrown weight on a stack and maxed out and then tried throwing another handle on there and to see if I could lift it on the other handle. One of the problems there, for instance, like with the trilobite, I only have the 3-inch version. I actually have 2 of those. I don't have like a 2.5 or 2 3/8, whatever measurement they might come in. I don't have one of those, so I wouldn't be able to make a real accurate comparison in weight lifted.
Okay.
With a 2.5-inch crusher or a 2.5-inch trilobite. And I can tell you that when the size increases ever so slightly, my weights drop quite significantly. So I have a crusher that Luke made. It's one of the first things that he made way back in 2016. It's kind of a crusher trainer, and it's 2.6 inches. So the handle, I think, is from the same stock that was used to make the Death Grip bells. So it's a little bit thicker than a 2.5-inch crusher, and I would say my weight drops by 10 to 15 pounds when I put that handle on. So, it has comparable action. I would say, in my opinion, I think the trilobite spins a little bit better than the crusher that I have, and by far, I mean, both of them spin way, way, way better than the Rolling Thunder. I mean, the Rolling Thunder barely even spins.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
It doesn't go into any free spin. Like, once you kick it into action, it doesn't continue. It just kind of makes like maybe 1 or 2 turns and then stops. So, yeah, it's hard to say, comparing one to the other.
Well, no, you did it. Yeah, but that was a good comparison. No, your thought that it seemed to have more of a, that it spins longer, than the crusher. So that's interesting. Okay.
Now that could, for all I know, that could have something to do with the overall weight of the trilobite too, because the trilobite is much lighter, being that it's made of aluminum, than the crusher, which is made of steel. So because of that weight, I'm sure there's a friction factor that's in there, and that slows it down more also. So as far as like holding it upside down and spinning it, I'm sure the trilobite's going to win every time, it would seem, just because of its lightweight. It's lightweight. So the one-hand Nightmare has decent action. I don't know about a comparison between that and the crusher, to be honest with you, as far as like spinning action, but I think weights on the 2 implements are pretty close.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. When I hold I have both. I have the 2.5 trilobite and the 2.5-inch crusher. And when I do the, hold it by the part that would attach to the loading pin, for example, and give it a spin in my hand, there's no question that the trilobite spins for quite a bit longer, twice as long, for example. So, yeah.
But does that equate to more action when you're lifting? That's the question.
For me, it actually didn't, because
you've got the same amount of weight basically sitting on the bottom of that handle.
Well, yeah,
right?
What
like
I actually
the same.
Well, yeah, what I actually did to give it at least the most apples to apples comparison, if you will, is I had things weighed out. So I had let's just say, for example, total weight, loading pin, handle weight, the whole shebang of on the crusher, and then likewise on the trilobite. I was actually able to pull literally just I think 2 or 3 pounds more on the trilobite, all things being equal, than I was on the crusher. So for example, I pulled 100 pounds on the trilobite, it would have been like 97 on the crusher, just to give you an idea. So with, like I said, equally loaded stuff, and I've got fairly accurate crap, so I'm able to micro-load things, and like I said, I use the scale as well. So nothing radical, not like what we see with a Rolling Thunder, for example, to a crusher or a trilobite. But I definitely personally noticed a difference there.
Yeah. Another factor that has to be considered when choosing a rolling handle is how well the handle is going to take chalk. I have never really chalked the trilobite, Alan. How well does the trilobite take chalk versus the crusher and the Nightmare handles, in your opinion?
I've never felt the need to actually chalk the trilobite. For whatever reason, it seems like just clean, dry skin, I actually get a great grip on it.
Oh.
Whereas, for example, like the crusher, I was definitely best served by really having a good heavy dose of chalk on that. And I don't have the one-hand Napalm's Nightmare. Mine's just the original version of it. But, yeah, I'm best served with chalk on that. That actually takes chalk quite well. The textured finish that is used on that, it just screams chalk me, and it stays there and it lasts. It's not like the other things that just fall right off of.
Yeah.
So, very good surface for that on there.
Yeah. And I would throw in that the wrist wrench, the actual legit wrist wrench. Do you have one of those, the real wrist wrench from Mike Cochran?
Yes. Yep, here we go.
And I would say that that thing does not take chalk very well. It's not very consistent. Like the outside areas where you don't grip take chalk real well, and then the inside areas where your thumb goes, like the all-important place where you put your thumb, it seems like the chalk comes right off of that every single time. So that can be pretty frustrating considering with the outside circumferential strap loading that goes on there, the action is so, it's a different action, but it's like a more intense action because your thumb has to work so much harder, and it's where your thumb is at needs to be chalked really well in order to optimize your grip and get your best pull. And I feel like you're good for one pull, and then you have to chalk it again every single time on the wrist wrench. Now, as far as the inch wrench that Luke sells at Arm Assassin, I've only used it like a couple times, and I would imagine because it uses the same paint that the Nightmare handles use, that it probably takes the chalk a little bit better. What's your experience with chalking on the wrist wrench?
I definitely agree with what you're saying, and that implement it's really fussy for me too. The chalk really makes or breaks you on that one. It's a difference in a lift versus a no lift, quite honestly, with that. I see a greater variance from workout to workout with that than I would the other rolling handles because of the chalk factor going on there.
Yeah.
It's like being a PVC material that the handle is basically made out of, it's like paint seems to work with PVC a little different than it does when it's applied to metal surfaces and stuff. It's just paint seems to be more inclined to stick great to, wood, metal, things like that, as opposed to plastic,
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just not the greatest product that's applied to it or what, but yes, it doesn't hold it very well, and it lets you down. It's hard to have a real consistent seasoning on that, where you would see it on other implements.
Yeah, right. Agreed. Out of all these implements, Alan, what's your preferred implement? Which one do you like to use the best?
I use the crusher the most, by a long shot. I don't use the Raptor handle from Country Crush very often. I also have their handle. It's like the dual one you do lat pull downs with, for example. That one that most people do that deadlift with. I have that with the 3-inch ones on it, and again, doesn't see a lot of mileage. My rest of them don't either. The Trilobite. I've always liked the crusher. I've had that for a number of years now, and it's the one that I just constantly go back to.
Yeah.
It's robust. I probably don't have a good reason for that. It's what kicked it off for me, but it's heavy duty, and I really like it. So I think it's kind of the best of all the world, really.
Yeah, I agree to an extent in that the one that I use most often is Luke's crusher, because when I go back to the real crusher, it feels like, I'm going to say it feels like a toothpick in my hand, because that's what I always say, but you can just tell that it's a little bit smaller, so it feels like you have better command on the actual 2.5-inch crusher. So my go-to implement is the homemade crusher, and I would say that probably, part of that is the fact that it's in one of the biggest contests in the world every year, the crusher, the 2.5-inch crusher. Plus, I feel that working with that 2.6-inch handle carries over really well to the challenge bells, whether it's the various inch dumbbells I have or the homicide bell, etc., I feel like that handle just puts a load on my hand that makes me stronger and carries over to challenge bells better. I used to say that the wrist wrench was the best implement to replicate the inch dumbbell action, and I think in a way it still does, but I don't use that handle nearly as much as anything else because the chalk is so inconsistent. So, and we just talked on that, so I don't think we need to go in that any further, but that's the way I see that one.
My personal opinion, when it comes to the wrist wrench, I agree with the violent rotation action, but the one thing I could never get past is that you're never going to feel that same weight in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Like you pull 100 pounds on the wrist wrench, it's still not a 172-pound inch dumbbell. It's like you almost still need to experience that weight, though. You know what I'm saying? That's the hard pill to swallow for me with that one.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe some guy that's better at math or could explain this to me in a way that might make more sense, but it's just not I just don't see how it's the same thing. It's just weird. You can't quantify it. Whereas I hope that makes sense. I don't know how else to say that, I guess.
Well, I part of it is because you don't have the same weight in your actual hand. Also, the pull distance isn't the same. And there's nothing that can really replace the actual inch dumbbell. So that's why I've always said, if you want to lift the inch, the best thing you can do is to put money away and buy an inch dumbbell. Now, not everybody has all that money laying around. I understand that. One thing I am working on for people who are coming to nationals this year, this just popped into my head, is looking at ordering in two of the inch dumbbells. One will go to Eric Rusin. Another one will go to someone else. But the nice thing about it is the shipping does not change for a second bell. It's the same exact shipping charge. So if someone's coming to nationals, yes. If someone's coming to nationals and they want a better shipping price on the inch, then talk to me because we've got a really good opportunity for you to pay almost maybe $80 for shipping versus the regular $150, $160 that it would be to get shipped to Elmira, New York.
So is that okay? Okay, so let's say you ordered. Is that even the case? Like if you ordered 6 bells or something like that? Let's say you had a whole bunch of people lined up. Mm-hmm. Is that how that works, or is it literally just 2?
Now that's a good question. I did not ask about that. I only asked about a second bell.
Okay. That sounds like an awesome freaking deal to me.
Right.
I think you'd want to get right in on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll look into the multiple bells because I think my assumption is that. Well, I know for a fact the 2 bells are going to go on the same pallet. That's why there's no more shipping charge because it's in the same truck. And really, it's only 172 pounds. It's not going to throw shit off, in the load, So a third bell on there, is that a possibility? I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that, Alan, and get back to everybody.
Because here's the people need to get in on that. Then that's just all there is to it. Anybody that's bought any grip stuff, they know we get murdered on shipping. We just get killed from wherever. And if you got a chance like that, $100, $150 on shipping, you're taking it, and for a chance to, that's a huge difference. When you take somebody that's, a cost of a bell $450, $500, and then you throw another $150 in shipping on it, that can be a difference between a person getting it or not. Mm-hmm. So, I would definitely, people should be jumping all over that. That's just my opinion. I don't need one. I've got an inch that I can't lift. I don't need another one I can't lift. But but nonetheless, though, that's the sort of $150. That's a lot of money, and to knock that off of shipping, that's huge. Yeah. Like I said, you buy a lot more grip toys with $150. So,
for sure.
That's awesome.
What else? What other angles can we come at here, Alan? There might be people that are listening to this that don't have any rolling handles yet, and they might want to pick something up, and it's just now occurring to me that we didn't mention anything about the grip genie rolling handle that they put out.
Okay.
They put out.
I don't have any familiarity with that handle. I've never seen it. I really don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Right. It's got the ball bearings in it. It's got bearings in it.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it could have some pretty crazy action then, depending.
Yeah.
I mean, some bearings are freaking slick, and others. A grip genie one?
Yeah, he has one, but we haven't used it yet. He was only down once last week, because he went on vacation to Arizona for some more hiking and excursions. So didn't end up using it, unfortunately. Yeah. Any other suggestions that you have as far as like discussion topics, Alan, in case there's new people coming in and they haven't heard of some of these handles? Like, how can they make the best selection for themselves?
Yep. From my point of view, if I was a new person coming in, and you don't have a ton of money to buy all kinds of different handles, I would really pick one of the more modular style of handles that you see. Like, for example, the Napalm's Nightmare or the Barrel Strength System trilobite handle. That way, you can get multiple different sizes, and you save a lot of money. You don't have 10 different, handles out there between a Rolling Thunder and a Country Crush. You can get a few basic ones, and then just buy the different handle pieces themselves, if you will, and save some of that additional hardware that you get that costs some more money.
Yeah.
So you could have multiple things, but a considerable savings that will go along with it.
That's a good point.
And I would, I would definitely err on the side of the ones that, we're going to see more, competition-wise, I guess. Yeah, out your way, like I said, you're pushing that quite a bit, and certainly with those challenges you do at some of those arm wrestling things and some of like the fairs that you go to, people would absolutely be best served by getting the Arm Assassin one, the Napalm's Nightmare variety of it. Right. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with the trilobite either. If you're looking for kind of one to hit it all, certainly a 2.5-inch one of those make you more than prepared to handle like anything you'd see Rolling Thunder wise. It'd get you on board with King Kong stuff, and then you certainly have the modular design that's going to get you, covered in the other aspects too.
Good point. I would say I'll take that a step further and say that if you have something that is modular like that, and you don't go and buy the actual implement that's going to be in a competition, there's most likely always going to be time for you to take a couple test pulls on that implement to see how it feels compared to yours, or you just want to be able to meet up with someone that has that implement down the road and see how your strength compares to the one you have and the one that's going to be in the contest. So that's just something that you can arrange in an extra workout at some point, or just get to the contest early and ask the promoter if they care that you throw the implement onto a loading pin and see. I would say, Alan, that unfortunately, with so much variation with the Rolling Thunder and so much, controversy lately with chalking and things like that, that probably the Rolling Thunder is gradually working down to the bottom of most people's thick bar lists that are coming into grip sport. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I see a huge difference in that in my training, to the point where, I don't use them. I don't think it gives me I have two. I bought them for actually doing Rolling Thunder pull-ups, and there's just the difference. It's significant. I don't think if you're looking to train, for like crush to dust, or go to some of those events where you see that, you're best served with a Rolling Thunder. But I don't think it's going to give you the carryover to the other handles. I don't think a Rolling Thunder is going to do you any favors in getting ready for like King Kong or anything else like that.
Yeah, because
probably hurt you more than anything.
Yeah, honestly, the rolling action is so bad on the Rolling Thunder that I think it would be a shock when you go back to one of these other things that rolls better. It's not going to have anything to do with the eighth of an inch difference in size or anything like that. It's just going to be the way that it moves is going to be so much different that it's going to hold you back. And the weird thing is, I bought a second brand new style Rolling Thunder prior to the arm lifting competition at the Arnold, Alan, and I was doing like 232 on my previous new handle. Then the next new handle that I bought, I topped out at 215. So, and the new handle that I had was only like a year and a half, 2 years old, and it had barely been used. So I don't know what it is. The only difference that we could find was that the plastic handle sleeve of the Rolling Thunder that actually moves was about an eighth of an inch different in size. It was like shorter. So if you stood if you stood the Rolling Thunders up so that the cylinder part of the handle was sitting vertical, then the actual moving piece on the Rolling Thunder was about an eighth inch shorter in length on the brand new one. And that was really the only difference that was visible that we could see. There wasn't anything different as far as the structure and design of the base of the unit that didn't move. You know, because the previous style didn't have the end caps. These ones have the end caps. So that was the only visible difference that we could see, and by the looks, that plus the fact that it was brand new was enough to make me drop, 20 pounds plus on my lifts. So
sure. Well, that's surprising.
With chalk on the Rolling Thunder, I was getting over 240. So that 237 was without loop chalk whispering the Rolling Thunder.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I have the handle. It looks like the new ones. It just doesn't have the end caps on them at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And mine seem identical. But when you talk about the length difference of the plastic, that surprises me because that's a variable that you can control that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when people are making these things, there's jigs and fixtures. There's no reason they can't be. You shouldn't be able to see that difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tolerance should be that tight. I can understand if other things might vary, inside or outside diameters of tubing to a certain degree. But again, it shouldn't be visible to the eye, though. You should have to break out like a micrometer or something to pick up that sort of thing. It shouldn't be that obvious. So that just surprises me because I actually really like Iron Mind's products. They seem to be, they're just so professionally made. I have some of their leverage bars, and the knurling, everything is very nice pieces. And that just seems out of place in the grand scheme of things, Yeah. Well, I don't want it to sound like I'm taking a big shit on all of Iron Mind's products, because I'm not. I just think that it's like there's just a series of design flaws about the Rolling Thunder that just makes it less of an implement, and it's kind of disappointing when I see all the new people come into the sport and they buy the Rolling Thunder, and there's just so many better implements out there at a comparable price that will last longer and be consistent for a lot longer. So, but yeah, absolutely. The pinch block I think has come a long way. The hub, like you said, the leverage bars, the knurling on those things is great. Creative stuff like the twist your wrist. They have a lot of good products, but the Rolling Thunder just unfortunately isn't one. No, it's definitely not in the same class as the other stuff. Yeah, I agree. That's one that could see it. It needed something other than end caps put on it to bring it, to modernize it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. What else?
Okay.
What else now? Any other things that we need to discuss about these rolling handle implements?
No, I can't. I can't think of anything. I guess I thought we covered the best of them. We didn't really go into real in depth about like the country crush ones or anything like that, but we don't see that contested much in grip sport. It really more or less comes down to some of the other ones. So,
well, one thing I'll say about the Country Crush is it's really a beautiful piece. The craftsmanship is great. It's easy to disconnect the handle and change the different handle sizes, but with the narrow positioning of the handles on the Country Crush itself, with the narrow positioning of the Country Crush handles itself, it's really, really hard to get a good lockout with that sometimes, especially with like 90% of your 1 rep max. I see a lot of calls on that, just like the Rolling Thunder with where the lockout calls are just questionable from the side. Like they look like the person is locked out from the front, but from the side it's very clear that they don't get the shoulders back, and that it's entirely because of the orientation of the handle. So, I mean, the handle just sits out so far in front of you, it's really hard to get your shoulders pulled back.
Sure. Yeah, I think I remember some people saying something about that when they'd submitted some stuff too for getting denied on their submission attempts for various reasons. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But, so what's your favorite one then out of the bunch? I mean, of the commercially available handles that we have, what's your go-to?
Well, I would say the Crusher, but the thing about the Crusher is they've got so many versions of that thing that you don't know which one you're getting. And it's hard to compare against the other types of crushers that are out there. It's the original steel rolling handle device because John Beatty created it back in 2006 or so.
I should have identified that
originally. Yeah, when he originally owned Fat Bastard Barbell, that's one of the first implements he came out with. And since then, there's been a few different generations, and that was what the whole controversy was about at King Kong this past year, was we used Joe Sullivan's handle, and the side structure of it is completely different from the one that I have because the bushings were eliminated in the more recent models. So
yes, his was the newest version, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And mine has the bushings on it.
Mm-hmm.
So mine was the one. I think mine's probably 4 or 5 years old now. I think as long as I've had that one. So mine does have the bushings. Mine actually painted green is the color that we used.
Oh, really?
Mine. Yeah. And so yeah, I guess I don't have a. That's one issue that I do have is in some of my comparisons and discussions here is I don't have the brand new version of any one of these. So.
Yeah. With me, I don't like the feel of the aluminum equipment, so the Trilobite's not going to be my favorite. I don't like the fact that the Rolling Thunder varies so bad. So I guess, I mean, as far as my favorite, I would say probably my favorite would be the Crusher, but the version that I have. Because there's nothing striking the edge of the handle on the side. The bushings are there to serve as spacers. It rolls just fine. I would say probably the Crusher, the generation of the Crusher that I have out of the list of the ones that are commercially available, and I'll keep my handle that I came out with out of it. I would say the Crusher would be my favorite.
Okay. All right. Well, you could have an opinion on your own handle. I understand why you wouldn't want to say it here.
Yeah. But, well, I like the idea of being able to switch it back and forth between 2 hands and 1 hand, and things along those lines. Our setup is very, very handy. For the life of me, I do not remember what the Trilobite connection thing is. I know that Jared Gogan came out with that first. I don't know if Gil has modified that at all from the original. Can you talk on that at all?
Yeah, I believe there was a slight change, but but very minor in the grand scheme of things. It has a straight through. Mine has it's an axle type design where it's got a T part welded on one end. The axle passes through a couple of holes on the V-bar part of the handle, if you will, and then he uses a small little, I don't actually know what you call the clip. I believe Gil has changed it to something different, but in that axle there's a hole drilled through the end where a pin slides through to hold it in place. So it's just a matter of taking out the pin, sliding out the axle, putting on your new roller. It's very straightforward. It takes a matter of seconds.
Cool.
So it's very, very seamless, and it's a similar concept to Country Crush does something very much like that now. So quite easy, very, very fast change.
Nice.
But I do like the Napalm's Nightmare. That's a really easy thing with the collars and the using an Allen wrench for tightening things down. That's the same concept. Stronger Grip does that with a lot of his stuff for using holding the weights on, like his leverage blocks and stuff. So it's a tried and true method for holding things.
Right.
But yeah,
well, cool, man. I think we've gone at this from a lot of different angles, Alan. I'm not sure what else to cover. I mean, you got any other things to bring up?
No, just when you were talking about handle material, for example, we pretty much got the gamut covered. I mean, the steel one from Arm Assassin and Fat Bastard, then you got the plastic from Country Crush and Rolling Thunder, and then aluminum from Barrel Strength Systems. So it's a individual preference there too. I'm a steel kind of guy, so that's definitely where I would err. But yeah, a lot of different choices there. So, yep. Plenty of things to work with, but I'll be really curious to hear, what other people like, what their preferences are. So I think that's a pretty good discussion.
Again, we welcome discussion on this. As a community, we could probably put together a really good reference for new people. So I would say when you go down there to make a comment, certainly let us know what your favorite and least favorite rolling handle is, and give us a reason why. And then that way, when people read that, they'll know where you're coming from on that. And then if we missed any, if we left anything off the list, then let us know. And then if anyone has experience with the Grip Genie handle, then go ahead and comment about that below as well. When I saw it, it looked really cool, and it looked like it had good action on it. The thing that jumped out at me is that V-shaped bar, Alan, that goes below it seemed like it was really long. So it looked like it could end up contributing to some height issues, especially if we have a shorter competitor with a longer loading pin. There might be some issues in getting to lockout or even to the 6-inch height, so they would probably have to stand on blocks. But, I mean, that's something you just roll with anyway. But as far as that is concerned, that's really the only thing that jumped out at me when I saw it. But I never hooked it up to a loading pin.
Well, I'm really curious about that. That ought to be neat when you guys post some videos on that. See how that is. So I've never played with one that had the ball bearings in it. And I think that's I believe that's how the LGC one is. I thought that had bearings in it. I could be wrong. But
well, you know what is funny is you just mentioned that, and I remembered that I do have another one down on my wall that John Menino got made and sold to me, and it has bearings in it. And let me tell you something. It's the heaviest. It is the heaviest rolling handle that I've ever encountered. It's a 2.5-inch size. It's, I believe, chromed. It's very, very shiny.
Okay, that's gonna be slick as all hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent rolling action. I remember though that it got scratched up really bad. I don't know how, if it was in my bag and carrying it around, it got scratched up or what. I haven't lifted on that a ton. I haven't. I think I've let Mike Rindley borrow it once or twice over the years so that he had something to use that was rolling in preparation for King Kong. But that's another one, and that does have bearings in it. So maybe the Grip Genie handle is similar to that one. I remember I pulled less on the Menino handle than I did on the Crusher handle as well, but I don't remember how much less.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. No, that would be a neat type of video. Yeah. Do some maybe a head-to-head comparison. I'd be really interested in that. So, well.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All right.
Alan, before we go, you had mentioned that there were a couple Ironmind certifications or feats that had taken place. Would you mind just covering those for us before we go?
Yeah. I want to hit those. Couple new COC3 certifications out there. Zolt Horniak, who we know, been some serious steel. He certed the 3, and there was another fellow named I'm going to go with Haynes Thorsteinson. I hope I'm not killing that one too bad, but he also certed the 3. So big congratulations to him. And I couldn't find it on their website, but I thought there was an email that came through about Alexei Tukalov. Didn't he just hammer the Rolling Thunder pull-up world record again?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
There was an email that came in from Ironmind, and it sounded fairly recent. That he more or less broke his own record by the sound of it. But I couldn't find it on their website, so I don't know.
Did you say you got an email from Ironmind?
Yeah. Yep.
What, do they have a newsletter?
Apparently, this was nothing directed to Alan specific. It was like it would have been a bulk thing. It would have gone out to the masses.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I didn't know that they had one. I usually sign up for all those. I didn't even know that they had one.
Yeah, I get it's some updates like that, and then it's like the crap they hit you with for like pushing products and stuff. Like stuff that. I have all this stuff already, so when I get those emails, it kind of just gets deleted right away. I'm not trying to be a dick. I just don't pay attention to that, spam type stuff, if you will.
Right.
And that was one of those things that just kind of came up in a blur and then got discarded before I had a chance to do anything else with it. But it was there. I saw it. I couldn't find it on their website, but that doesn't mean sometimes when you search for things specifically, it doesn't pop up even though it should. So.
Yeah. Well, I know when he was in the country for the California competition earlier this year, he set the record. He broke the record twice. So I don't know if maybe you saw a second announcement about that.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't just some advertisement pushing the sales of a product. That could have been, and they were using that as the catalyst for it somehow. It just and I know they've done that on some other things too. So that might have been what it was. Maybe it wasn't new, but it was kind of presented like that. So
right.
But yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, and I still
those
can't
are the main
find their
things.
newsletter anywhere on their site. If you find that like on a page or something, send that to me, Alan, because I like to be on all the newsletters.
Sure. Yeah. I'll do that. So.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I see they're still advertising Milo on here. Is that just back issues?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't. I don't even know. Wasn't that going to be an electronic thing moving forward? I didn't think they put the. I thought they just put the kibosh on the print version. I might be wrong, but
maybe you're right.
I thought it was still going to exist. Yeah.
I see. I gotcha.
Hard to say. I'm kind of out of the loop on some of that. When it comes to the Ironmind things, I get those little bit of emails, but otherwise I have to go looking for it. We just don't see it as. It's just not as out there as it is we see on some other things for whatever reason.
Right.
We're constantly, Luke is putting stuff out on Instagram and what have you, and and Barrel Strength does the same thing. We just don't get it from Ironmind quite like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for whatever reason. But
all right, cool. All right, and Alan, any other feats or anything you want to highlight before we get going?
No, those were the main ones that I had noticed. I've been a little lax in some of my research lately. Just been so busy with work and everything. It's been kind of hard to stay on top of some of this stuff. Those were the ones.
Oh, dude, I've had zero time to log any feats the last 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm right there with you, unfortunately. So
hopefully start doing a better job here, and looking forward to having James back on the show maybe next weekend if he's back from his trip. Maybe he's just going to decide to live in Australia, set up his practice down there, and, create a little grip commune down in Australia, man.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun down there. So I hope he's having a good time.
Yeah. The Dingo ate your baby. Did you ever see that movie?
No. What was that? What movie was that?
You had to ask. I don't know. It was huge on HBO back in the 80s. If you just type in the Dingo, oh crap, it's coming up with a bunch of Seinfeld stuff. I thought it was from a movie. Is it really from Seinfeld? That would be. There's definitely a movie from the 80s.
The main movie
where
I remember that covered Australia was it was Quigley Down Under with Tom Selleck in it. But I don't remember that.
No, Quigley Down Under is a fantastic movie. It's got Tom Selleck in it, and it's got the chick that says Cinderfucking-rella in Pretty Woman. She's in that movie as well.
Yep.
I can't remember that actress's name.
No. No.
I'm not sure, dude. But there was a movie about Australia, and there was a family out in the woods, and literally a dingo came in and took a baby.
That's horrible. Huh.
So I thought that quote was from that movie, but maybe not, man.
No, I never. But okay. That's interesting. That's a crappy quote to remember. I got to say that.
Yeah. Somebody's got to know what the heck I'm talking about. But it looks like in season 3, episode 10, The Stranded. Elaine says something about maybe the dingo ate your baby. I'm on YouTube right now. I looked it up. I figured for sure it would come up. But oh, wait.
Everything's on YouTube.
Okay, right here. Through My Eyes, the Lindy Chamberlain story. In 1980, 9-week-old Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo from her family's tent near Uluru in Australia's remote northern... Let me click. This is stuff.
This was a real thing?
To cover. Apparently, brother.
Oh, damn.
Australia's remote northern territory. Her body was never found. In a terrible miscarriage of justice, her mother, Lindy, was wrongfully convicted of her daughter's murder and sentenced to life in prison. It was 7 years before the conviction was overturned. This is the true story behind a tragedy whose echoes reverberated around the world. So I remember this movie without a doubt as a kid. I remember this movie. My parents watched it. It was on, I believe, HBO. I remember wilderness scenes in Australia. I remember dingoes running around. That's the only reason why I know what a dingo is.
Oh, that's awful. I'd really rather not know that story. Yeah, that's just terrible.
The Ultimate Warrior used to be called Dingo Warrior, and I'm pretty sure that is what he created that name from. Back in the 80s. It looks like this is from 1980, so I guess it took place in 1980. I'm sure that's not when the movie was from. There's no way I'd be able to remember it because I was born in 78. So it was probably 2 or 3 years later the movie came out, I guess. I don't know. But it's called Through My Eyes, the Lindy Chamberlain story, and it looks like it's on YouTube.
Wow, I'd never heard that. I'd never heard that. That is just, wow. I don't know what to say.
I thought for sure you had heard it because you seemed to pop and go wild when I said the dingo ate your baby.
Yeah, no, it sounded funny until you told me the story that went with it. Now it's like, damn.
Yeah, it's not a great story.
I know, I hate things like that, actually. That's just not cool, man. The fact that actually could happen, that's the shitty part. So, no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's terrible. definitely nothing to joke about. But
no, absolutely not. That seriously sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
All right.
Well, Alan, on that note, on that sour note, the show is yours. Take her away, brother.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 90 of This Week in Grip. Everybody, hope you like it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Definitely comment down below. Let us know what you think about the discussion on handles and your favorite, least favorite. And we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see you then.